I know his innermost thoughts, and I tried to make sure that those innermost thoughts were put across to the audience. But is that why you brought up Marshmallow Salad? Is that something that you do?
You brought up Marshmallow Salad.
Oh, you said Watergate.
I feel like every now and then we just start an episode really strong and we forget to welcome people to the podcast or anything like that. It sounds like
Man, what the fuck is up with Turducken? Whose idea was this?
Yeah, I think about that a lot.
I forget that it's a thing, and every time I'm reminded that it exists, I get angry again. Like, what?
I only ever get reminded of it from my father. He's the only person who ever brings it up.
The fuck kind of American
redneck
ass shit.
Yeah, no, it's because I think it's the Texan in him that desires deep fried turducken.
Now here's the thing though. Here's what I will say about that. I don't think that there's a good way to cook a turducken other than deep frying.
I don't know if that actually circumvents all of the issues. I've had this conversation with basically all of my family members before. Is like, how are you gonna cook all that safely? You know, like the chicken and the turkey and the duck all are inside of each other. You're insulating them from the heat inside of each other. So do you cook one of them and then stuff it in there, and then you get the raw chicken juices all over the duck though? So I actually have no clue how it works.
So I know the general way that a lot of people will do it is you have to debone most of the turkey. You can still leave like the legs, but then you also have to debone the chicken and the duck to make it all fit together. And that does help the cooking time because minus bones, the meat cooks pretty quickly. But you're still going to hit this point where the turkey is dry, the chicken is perfect, and the duck is raw, you know?
Right.
Like you have to be very, very careful of it. I believe because Babish did it, because of course he did.
Of course.
And what he did was he turned it into a Turducken Roulade.
See, that's, yeah. So
you debone, you flatten out, and then you put it all together and you roll it together with maybe some stuffing in there.
Mm-hmm.
And because then you're talking about like a 2-inch thick poultry wheel versus an 8-inch thick turkey cavity.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I hated those two like descriptors following one another.
Poultry wheel and turkey cavity.
A 2-inch thick turkey cavity will not fit, or 2-inch thick poultry wheel will not fit inside a 8-inch thick turkey cavity.
Oh,
like I didn't like it. It didn't feel good.
I'm pretty sure another thing he had done was he took the chicken and the duck and he deboned both of them and then tied them together and then inserted them after being cooked into a partially cooked turkey.
Okay,
I can see
that.
that.
I can see.
That makes more sense.
But it looked really gross.
Here's my biggest.
It's kind of phallic.
My biggest issue with turducken as a whole is that duck is just way better than both of the other poultry involved, and I just don't understand why you'd waste a good duck on turducken.
That I think
that's also a very fair take.
Yeah, I think that would be my take, to be honest. Like,
I'd rather just have duck.
Yeah,
you know, like a well cooked duck, like that's heaven all on its own.
You tell your dad that, be like, "Hey, Dad, fuck you and your deep fried turducken. You just give me a duck breast made right." And then you make
because I think he would also agree.
And then he'd be offended in the moment that you won't eat his deep fried monstrosity, but then later he'd be like, "Well, I mean, you know, Carolina was saying, blah, blah, blah," and then someone would try to be like on his side. He's like, "Well, no, actually."
You're right, no, because that's exactly what he would do. Is he would like laugh. He does this thing where he laughs at himself, and then he like sits back and he gets this really serious face, and he's like, "Well, no, if you think about it, because the duck is actually all dark meat, which makes it really special, and it is pretty expensive. So when you think about it, a turducken really is a waste of a good duck." And it's like, yes, Father.
Yes, Father. That is what I just said. How convenient that you have arrived at the same conclusion that I already told you about.
I love his serious face. His serious face. He furrows his eyebrows and he like pouts a little bit. He like gets like a little thing going on, and it's just like, yeah, you thinking real hard there.
He'll sit there and he'll make fun of you while agreeing with you, but God forbid someone else decides to jump in and make fun of you too, because then he'll be like, "Oh, you stupid, you didn't think about this."
I feel like that's what good parenting is, right? On some level, like some part of that is good parenting. Like yeah, I'm gonna make fun of you a little bit, but like, I'm also gonna agree with you. And like, if anyone else dares even speak of anything you might be wrong about, I will burn them to the ground.
It's very much the no one's allowed to make fun of them except for me energy that you also get from siblings, which my brother would use against my parents by talking shit about me in front of my parents and then taking notes on the fact that they agreed with him and went a step further. And then he would come to me and he'd be like, hey, I was talking to mom and dad and they were being real mean about you. And I'm like, but why were you talking about me like that? And he's like, I don't know. I just felt like it.
That's not important right now. What is important?
He'd be like, I was mad. You know how it is, but I didn't expect them to. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Sure.
Thanks, jackass.
I didn't expect them to actually agree with me. I didn't see this as a possibility.
Yeah, that was it. It's like, well, at some point he did figure out that they were going to agree with him. So he stopped. I appreciate that. Anyway.
I feel like every now and then we just start an episode really strong and we forget to welcome people to the podcast or anything like that. And it sounds like we've been recording for like 15 minutes and then eventually I'm just like, I got to start it somewhere and I pick a spot.
No, I think that there was no introduction besides anger about Turducken.
Well, anyway, thanks for tuning in so far to Off the Air. Today we have Nina on with us because Nina wrote a book.
I did.
And we're here to shamelessly promote Nina's book on air.
Yeah, we are.
And also milk an extra podcast episode out of it.
Does this count as a press tour? Asking for
a
friend. It's me. I'm the friend.
Yes, this is a press tour.
Nice.
I count it. I mean, like, one of many podcasts that I hope to be on promoting this, but I'm just kidding. I
one of exactly two podcasts that you expect to be on to promote this.
See, here's my thing about promoting this book is that I did not think very far ahead about it, and then I got a Discord message from one of my friends that was just like, hey, are you reaching out to like reviewers and blogs, like literature blogs about this book?
You were
some
like,
of them have like deadlines and shit before you can actually like before you publish. They need to have already read it. And I'm like, what? I'm like, the hell? No, I didn't think about that. Now I feel real stupid. And he was like, well, you know, this is your first time, so I'll help you. And he's been my secretary ever since. He's just been emailing. He's been emailing people for me.
That's good friendship.
We've gotten a whole 1 hit from it.
Hey,
so.
I mean, I don't know.
One is better than zero.
Yeah, exactly. One is better than zero. And like, even knowing one, I don't know. For me, at least, like the only thing I compare it to is like when I do press shit for films and like even getting one person to acknowledge that I exist is, I don't know, it feels nice. Doesn't feel as good as like, it's like everyone acknowledging I exist, but it's something.
Right. I'm already like thrilled that some people who have their hands on a copy already are reading it and they're texting me while they're reading it. And that's already like, when I started writing this book, which was the same year, I finished the first draft shortly before I first guested on this podcast, I think.
You did, yeah, because I have an early draft sitting that I got like a third of the way through and then completely didn't get back to because I'm a shitty friend.
Yeah,
Me
you are.
Me too.
Hey, actually, that makes me feel much
how
better.
Far I got into it.
Yeah, no. I had some people tell me they just straight up wouldn't read it until it was published, and I'm like, that's respectable.
That's
Have
fair.
a nice day.
That's super fair.
That's exactly what my plan was.
That's what my mom said. That's what one of my friends said as well. And to their credit, my mom has started reading it, so she says, and the other person is texting me about it as he reads, which is super dope.
Your mom has a copy already?
She has an ebook copy.
Oh, fair enough.
So yeah, I've been getting texts along the lines of, I had one friend text me and he was like, what happened to the prison guard in the first chapter? Because he kind of just disappears. And I'm like, he's fine. Don't worry.
Yes, he's a side character. That's what happens to side characters.
They just leave.
It's like
believe it or not.
It's like an NPC that you were like, why? Please leave them alone. They were supposed to be there for one scene.
It's like in my Strahd campaign that I'm DMing, I introduced them into a carnival, and our carnival leader was an NPC named Gildo Godvito, who is a mix of Gilbert Gottfried and Danny DeVito.
Amazing and cursed.
And we haven't seen him since session 1. So, and because my players rightfully distrust the people group that he's from, we may never see him again. But it's like, side characters are like that. But I appreciate that he's worried about this side character. It makes me feel like I'm establishing.
I do need to clarify. It really does make it sound like you're like, yeah, the Godvitos, you know, it's okay to be racist against them. No, if you're familiar with Strahd, it's the inherent distrust of the Vistani you're supposed to have.
Yeah, which
but they're also a key plot point, so it's like,
so
what the fuck,
frustrating.
dude?
I'm gonna go off on a Strahd tangent. It's extremely frustrating because so many plot points and important, like literally the key to defeating the main enemy is hidden inside the Vistani camp. But you're also supposed to, through all other NPCs and all of that, you are supposed to, in your players, distill an inherent distrust of the Vistani, which is firstly racist.
I was going to say, this sounds very paralleling a specific ethnic group that I'm not a fan of.
No, it is. And that's why in a lot of like homebrewed and rewritten versions of Strahd, which is what I'm doing, you can... I mean, anyone can change anything. It's D&D, it's make-believe. But what a lot of people do is they change it from being a people group to being kind of
like more of an organization.
More of an organization.
Like the Italian mob.
Yeah.
Except if it wasn't just Italians.
Yeah, so instead, like, I've got a...
Bad example.
That was a terrible example.
That was literally the worst example you could have possibly done, I think.
Like the American mob?
But what I've done is I right. What I have is a bunch of it's all people of all races, and they have like a specific piece of jewelry or clothing that indicates them as having like favor in this land instead of it being like a race of people. So there are ways to like fix it, but it's also like that indicator is not only just an indicator of them being part of that people group, it's an indicator that you shouldn't trust them. And then the book is like, yeah, so what you want to do is get your players to go to the camp of people they're specifically not supposed to trust, and then they're supposed to go into the creepy old woman tent and get all the information they need to know going forward. And I'm like, why would they do that? Any team of players who is playing this game blind and doesn't know what the plot is, none of them are going to trust these people.
Because you made it so that you're not supposed to. Yeah. It's
so
a weird
annoying.
choice. That seems very
one of my
early D&D.
Yeah. It is. So I tried to, with my campaign, I tried to place a couple NPCs within this organization that they would like and want to see again. And though the players really enjoy this character that I've named Termathy, like the players really like him, their characters don't. So even though the players are like, yeah, I'd love to see Termathy again, their characters are not going to seek Termathy out. I'm going to have to drop them in somewhere else.
Now, in fairness, Dan, our intro to Termathy was Termathy's running this little portrait booth, and they're just like, hey, we'll draw you a portrait, huh?
That's not what they sound like. Be nice to my child.
And, we're all like, hell yeah, a portrait for $1? Why not? And, we get a portrait that has like some deep, dark, revealing like mark about our past in it. And we're like, hey, what the fuck is that? And Termathy's like, what do you mean? And then you look back at the drawing and it's gone. So like, of course our characters are going to be like, what the fuck is up, Termathy?
They're just a sweet baby child.
They're
I don't know
just
why
trying
you
their
don't trust
best.
them. They're just doing what they do best, which is being a creepy Victorian child.
I mean, hashtag goals.
Yeah, no, I love them. But yeah, no. Other than that, like that issue, it's a big issue I'm having where I don't know. I'm gonna have to just Noah's in this campaign, but he also partially DM'd Strahd before.
I DM'd like a whole 3 book sections, 3 out of the 30 sections in that book. I got through at least 3 of them.
Yeah, you got about a little further than we are now, right?
Yeah, we're about to hit the part where I'm totally blind, which is for the best.
It is for the best, but I think I'm gonna have to just drop this camp, this Vistani camp, like in their path directly, since they aren't choosing to go to it, because I do need them to kind of get the indicators of what they need to look for and able to escape this land. Like, thanks a bunch, wizards of the coast. I saw you at Pride and I thought you were pretty cool, but it turns out that you're terrible to your employees, and you also suck at writing adventures. So
Wizard has come a long way in the last couple of years, but that does not mean they don't have a fucking real long way to go.
That is incredibly true.
My favorite part was when the son of the founder was like, it's just so woke nowadays. Wizards is too woke. And it's like, dude,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Freaking Gygax. Get out of my house, Gygax.
Gygax is, I feel about Gygax the same way I do about Lucas, right?
That's so valid.
Low-key kind of just a hack, though. Like,
it's like, you lucked out, buddy. Your legacy has been built by people who worked way harder than you
and are just
did.
objectively better than you at things. Like,
and here's the issue, especially with like Lucas, right? Like, I've never seen another one of his movies outside of Star Wars.
Oh, I have.
That's not because I've avoided them. It's just they're not my cinema.
I saw Strange Magic and it was not good.
What's his short film?
This is all I need to know is Dan's only seen his short film.
I have. His he has a very specific. Oh shoot, George Lucas. What is the freaking movie called? THX 1138. The actual like that part of what that thing is based, that like famous like in joke is THX 1138 is a short sci-fi film that he did. Real good, actually. Like,
that's
credit where it's due, actually pretty solid. I have fond memories of it.
But here's the thing. Was he married at the time?
I don't know.
Because that's the big thing. Is the best parts of Star Wars all came from his wife?
I don't think so, because this was his first feature film.
Okay.
Just like James Wan in *Malignant*, my favorite James Wan film.
You've only seen one James Wan film.
That's not even kind of true.
You've only seen a couple James Wan films.
I've seen The Conjuring and Insidious.
Whatever.
You two should fight.
Stop gaslighting me and gatekeeping me at the same time.
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
You just hate me because I like the bad movies.
I mean, to be fair,
that is a discussion we had the first episode I was on this podcast, was that I like bad movies. Nothing has changed since then.
Not a single thing. Not one thing has changed since then. I still like bad movies. I don't think I had a crush on Noah when I first guested.
I would be surprised if you did.
It was very quick.
We had been in existence for 6 months tops at that point.
At that point, I would say 3.
If you had developed a crush on your friend's co-host, it would have been weird.
Yeah, no, it wasn't until the Bandersnatch episode, and then I was a little crush, just a little one.
You know, when you say just a little one, it does make it sound like it was in fact not that.
Not just a little one.
Listen, I don't want to out you, but also I do want to do that.
What? Oh no, I had a crush on the man I'm married to.
That's gross.
What a fucking nerd.
That's disgusting. Imagine crushing on someone you get married to.
I don't have a crush on the man I'm married to at all.
I am a little hurt.
That's very.
Sorry, babe.
I like that a lot. That was very dumb, but I liked it a lot.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, not a lot has changed since. A lot has changed, and yet simultaneously nothing has changed since my first episode on this podcast.
You live somewhere colder now.
I live somewhere colder.
Dan, we got some lake effect snow happening right now.
It's gross. It's
we had our
wet.
first snow earlier this week. 0 to 10.
Yeah.
Do hate.
Here's the thing, right?
Hate it.
The lake effect snow is happening exclusively south of us, so we're just getting slushed.
We are getting slushed, but not in the fun alcoholic way, just
That's
in the
slosh,
snow way.
actually.
That's also next week.
Heyo.
Yeah. I guess this is a warning for everyone. We recorded 2 episodes back to back today. But in reverse order. So the episode coming out now is the second one Dan and I have recorded today. Next week, you can expect the triumphant return of Jackson, and you'll also hear the reason that he's not here right now.
Yeah.
I'll let him handle that next week. But I gotta be honest,
I can't believe Jackson is in jail right now. Like that's the energy you're putting out right now.
Jackson got arrested for something he said on the next episode that you'll hear, the episode previous to this one.
Time is a flat circle.
Can we make this more confusing? I actually don't know.
You clearly underestimate our power.
But the reason that you're recording back to back.
Knuckles. All right, here we are. Yeah, the reason we're recording back to back is knock on so much wood. We're
No,
all
it's
getting
happening.
together
There
for a
will
little
be no knocking. There will be
Christmas
no wood.
yaw.
I mean, there will be
Yeah.
wood,
Knock
on
not that you can knock on. Too much? That felt like
Noah's
too much.
face. Noah's face is
That felt like too much.
Anyway,
Noah's face is one
Merry
of approval
Gritmas,
and
Dan.
mild arousal.
Merry Gritmas,
No,
Dan.
I would say disgust. Pure disgust.
Also, no. I think
Maybe a
it's-
little bit of resignation.
It's just resignation and confusion, if we're being honest. I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out where do I go with this? How can I flow with it? And I really can't.
Because you're a
Stan's
coward.
just out here like, hey, let's knock some wood. And I'm like, how do I
That's 'cause you're a
bring this back
coward.
to trying to talk about what we're doing and why we had to double record? Can't. Okay. Anyway,
Anyway,
I want to talk about more Thanksgiving food.
okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about
I
Thanksgiving.
want to talk
food.
about Dan. Here's a question. Do you like cranberry sauce?
Which kind?
I'm not talking about canberry sauce, but if you like that too, then that's
Yeah, more
also
power
part of the
to
question.
you.
But do you like fresh cranberry sauce?
I do. I actually, mine often ends up more of a cranberry relish almost. If I'm being honest with
Kind
you.
of like a chutney, maybe.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Y'all are just throwing words around.
Yeah, that one I don't have your back
it's-
on.
It's whatever, whatever. It's
Sorry,
a
bud.
chunky fruit.
Yeah.
chunky fruit
Thing.
Like a
sauce.
chunky
It's,
fruit relish.
it's a chutney. that's what a chutney is.
It's like
The
it comes
point
out like
being-
a chunky fruit relish.
We made fresh cranberry sauce yesterday, and we made like a bucket of it. And we
Hell
have
yeah.
so much cranberry
It's
sauce.
Dan, it's so good.
It's
What a
really
problem
good.
to have,
It's a
honestly.
It's a spiced cranberry sauce, so it has a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove in it, along with the juice of 2 oranges and the zest of 1.5 oranges.
And 3 bags of cranberries.
And then
And
obviously,
a lot of sugar.
yeah, it's close to
sounds
3 cups of sugar.
He did not measure the sugar. He
I
just
did
kind of
measure
poured
the
it in.
sugar. I didn't measure the second amount of sugar. We added another bag later. Another bag of cranberries, not another bag of sugar.
I did.
you
I was about
freaking
to ask.
heathens.
'Cause it definitely did sound like you just said you added a second bag of sugar.
Yes. Okay. So it's about 2.5 cups of sugar, 3 bags of cranberries, 3 cups of water. Well, 2.5 cups of water, and then the juice of 2 oranges.
That
So
sounds amazing.
and it
It's so
was oh my
good.
gosh,
Here's-
dude, it's so good. However, here's the problem: we forgot to pull it out to serve to people for Friendsgiving, and I'm like, oh no. There's so much left. I thought I was gonna give this away to so many people, and now I'm stuck here
Here's my
with
yeah.
so much sauce.
Here's my thing about cranberry sauce. We were talking about how it's more of like a chutney or whatever. It's really more of like a syrup almost
Mhm.
that you can like. Noah and I were talking about like he put some on his cheesecake last night.
Yeah.
You can put that shit on like ice. It's so weird to me that it's like a condiment we think of as being put on like savory food.
Mhm.
I would put that shit on ice cream and pie.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of people associate it with turkey because a lot of people make shitty dry turkey, and cranberry sauce does help dry turkey.
That is true.
And this is not knocking people for making bad turkeys. I was talking about this with someone yesterday. The general takeaway that we all agree is that it's hard to cook turkey. It's not as easy as it is to cook a chicken, you know? I don't think that that's a hot take. I think that's just a generally like agreed upon, yeah, it's harder to cook a turkey. But you only practice once a year.
That's true. That
And
I
that's
think
the
that's
big
the big
thing.
thing. Yeah, because I don't know that it's necessarily
Like-
harder. Like really, like Michelle and I made a butterball, fucking, and it literally was perfect. And it was our first time trying to cook a full ass turkey.
Honestly, and here's another issue, right?
Mhm.
So many people use those turkey bags
Ew,
because
yeah,
no one
don't
wants
do
to
that.
baste a turkey. And sometimes it's good. But I also feel like it's a crutch that lets people accidentally overcook their turkey by accident.
Hmm.
So,
I think it's very fair.
you know, who knows? Who knows?
Have you guys heard of Watergate Salad?
We were talking about this today because my coworkers
Oh, I thought you were including me, and I'm like, what the fuck are you
no,
talking
my
about?
coworkers and I got together for a short TTRPG game this morning, and we were talking about holiday stuff. And one of my coworkers is Filipino, and I'm Puerto Rican. And we were talking about like if we did a company holiday party, what kind of food we would want to make. And we had been talking to our boss about this. And we were like, yeah, we each bring something from our culture. And our boss, while her husband is Puerto Rican, she is extremely white. And she was like, I'll make a marshmallow salad.
Man,
Is
that's
that
so
a-
Midwest.
Huh.
I'm assuming a marshmallow salad
It
is
is
very much.
basically Watergate, like ambrosia adjacent.
Yeah, it's very much the same.
I don't know
same
what a
realm.
Watergate salad is. I was gonna say ambrosia. I have no idea what a
I think
Watergate
ambrosia
salad
is
is.
the
like-
same thing.
It's similar.
Oh,
It's
it's
not.
just a better name for it.
It's not exactly the same thing. It has similar. I'm googling it right now because I recently had this conversation with our friend from the Netherlands who has like no concept of how terrible Midwest like dish food
Mayonnaise
is.
hold on,
based
you better-
salads.
You better hold off on dissing fucking.
Okay, so Watergate salad, also referred to as pistachio delight or shut the gate salad, or colloquially as green goop, green goddess salad, green fluff, or green stuff, is made of canned pineapple, whipped topping, crushed pecans, and marshmallows and
How many
pistachio
fucking
pudding.
names does this need? I gotta be honest, that's too many names.
Okay, hold on. Do
And
people
let
make
me see
ambrosia with
ambrosia.
mayonnaise? Is that what you just said? Hold on, I did not know that.
No,
No.
No,
Because I
I'm
just saw
talking
on
about
Wikipedia
things
that
like-
people do, and that's horrifying.
So ambrosia
that's bad, dude.
is ambrosia has more different kinds of fruit than Watergate salad does. It doesn't have pistachio pudding, and it also has miniature marshmallows in it. So that's like the big difference. They're not exactly the same thing, but they are part of the same food family.
Mm-hmm. I
I'm just
think,
a big fan. Oh,
no, go ahead.
I'm a big fan of anything that's labeled a salad that has no vegetables in it.
Same.
I think it's very funny because you know that it was made by someone who's just like, I fucking hate salads, man. And then they're also like, oh, this is Watergate salad.
It's the 50s,
Mhm,
50s, 60s era of
Jello salads.
Jello salads, which I think is really interesting on a history standpoint.
That's the thing, right? Like,
But I'm not gonna eat that. That's like not something that appeals to me personally.
I had to tell someone about ham salad last night, and they had never heard about it
Wait,
before.
people have
Oh,
never had ham
no.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I assumed that like people would understand that ham salad, you put two and two together, you know what a tuna salad is.
Yeah, it's the same shit.
Ham salad is the exact same thing.
Mhm, mhm.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, deviled ham, and they're like, what the hell's deviled ham? And I'm like, well, it's kind of like ham salad, and they're like, what's ham salad? I'll accept not knowing what deviled ham is. I think that that's very reasonable.
It's more reasonable. I wouldn't say very, but it's more reasonable. I'm
More
more willing
reasonable.
to accept it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, but I mean, like, come on, ham salad. Let's be real. Like, it's just like any other salad thing, which is actually just thing and mayo
Mhm.
for the most part. For desserts, you substitute whipped topping for mayo, and we all know what we already know.
We've already
But-
been known.
Yeah, Nina, were you the one telling me that you were actually not familiar with as many of these things?
Yeah, so
Wild.
it's because I've grown up on opposite sides of the country from each other in Texas and in Seattle. Shockingly, neither of those places do many like everyone thinks that Texas is the South, so they think that Texas does like casseroles and shit. Texas does not do casseroles as much as the Midwest or any of that. So I've never really had any of that kind of shit, honestly. I think the closest I've ever got is I've had green bean casserole at some Thanksgivings, but I hate it. And then tuna casserole I've had like once or twice.
I don't hate green bean casserole as much as my mom implies that green bean casserole is bad. She hates it and lumps that. Linda, if you're listening, I don't hate green bean salad. I don't
Green
want
bean
it at
casserole.
Thanksgiving. Green bean
salad.
cat.
No,
Well,
green bean salad's probably something.
I
different.
definitely that. Honestly, oh my gosh, I'm trying to imagine it and I really hate it. So I don't hate green bean casserole. I don't want it at Thanksgiving. I do want you to just put a pin in that. Don't think that I want green bean casserole at Thanksgiving. I just
think
don't
it's-
hate it.
Given
Anyway.
what I've had at your parents' Thanksgivings, it's also entirely unnecessary based on the other food that
There's
we
so
ended up
much.
with.
We have like 17 bread items, and we just need to.
And I
figure
added
that out.
another. I'm so sorry.
Well, I mean, we took away mashed potatoes and stuffing because we had tteokbokki and
More starch foods and pierogies.
Pierogi.
I would like to talk about my pierogi recipe.
Your pierogies looked like simultaneously so good and also low key kind of a nightmare to parse through.
They
The recipe is a nightmare.
the
to parse,
recipe is a
That's what I
nightmare to
meant.
parse through.
but the food not so much.
So the recipe is okay. So my mom's Ukrainian, or half Ukrainian, half Austrian. Both are like first or second gen. So this is like direct connection shit. This recipe was written down on graph paper in a Texas A&M alumni binder, like 3-ring binder, in like whenever my mom was in college, so like the late 80s. And you can tell because the recipe calls for 1/2 jar of Cheese Whiz, 3 big, 1 little potato, but it looks like it's written 1 widow potato.
1 widow potato?
Just 1 widow potato.
Yeah,
3 big, 1
potato.
widow. And then save juice. It means save the water with the potatoes were boiled in because the starch is necessary to forming the dough. But it is referred to throughout the recipe as potato juice, which I do be hating.
I do not love that. I won't lie to you.
Yeah, beat 1 cup of potato juice, in parentheses, warm. And then above warm is written in pencil, Luke.
Warm Luke.
Yeah, warm Luke, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It calls for 2 large scoops of lard with wooden spoon.
Gross.
Yeah, 2 large wooden spoonfuls of lard.
You know, the universal measurement system of large scoops with wooden spoon.
And you know, here's the funny thing. We added too little because there's an approximate, like,
it says approximate 1/2 cup.
Like, it says approximately 1/2 cup, but that's too little. But sometimes it's enough.
Right. It says like you add the lard into the flour. It's 4 cups of flour, so like proportionately, it's not a whole ton of lard. But you're supposed to mix it in, and then the recipe says get to right texture. I
love that the most.
So I had to call my mom on Thanksgiving Day, and be like, "What the fuck does that mean, dude?"
Bruh.
I don't know what that means. I've been slaving away over a hot stove all morning, and now I gotta call you about your 80s pierogi recipe. And she's like, oh, you know, kind of like pie crust, I guess. I'm like, I don't make pie crust, dude. This is like not something I am super familiar with. So I made it too dry. I didn't add enough lard because I was really shy about it. So the dough turned out being kind of tough and harder to roll out. But it did hold pretty well. Honestly, all things considered, the pierogies turned out really good. But it reminded me why I never make pierogies, and that's because they're extremely labor intensive. Yeah. And then Jeff helped, and he was like, can I crimp them like I crimp gyoza? And I was like, no, but you do you. And so he like crimped half of them.
That seems very on brand for Jeff somehow. No, please don't do that. I'm going to do it on half of them.
I just like stopped paying attention, and I looked over, and half the pierogies are crimped. And I'm like, all right. I mean, none of them exploded in the water. That's what it's all about, really.
That is at the end of the day.
There was no
truly.
reason Jeff. There was no reason to be as extra as you were. We appreciate it, but
I deeply appreciate it.
Come on.
Come on.
We're cooking over here.
Hey, it's me, the cooking man. Hey, come on. Hey, why you're not cooking no more? Hey.
And we talked about how our cranberry sauce got ignored because we forgot to put it out at Friendsgiving. We all forgot to mention that Becca and Jeff's cornbread, which was really good, also got ignored because they left it covered with a towel and no one noticed it was there.
Also, cranberry sauce at main family Thanksgiving got ignored because they forgot to put it out.
What a nightmare.
Oh, good to know it runs in the family.
Apparently. It do. Dan, we haven't really talked about your Thanksgiving traditions. What's something was that why you brought up marshmallow salad? Is that something that you do?
You brought up marshmallow salad.
Oh, you said Watergate salad.
No, I said Watergate
salad,
Dan which is, I mean, I in reading through, because I always called it Watergate salad, but in reading through Ambrosia, it is basically a mixture of the two is what we actually end up doing, because we always end up having cherries and orange slice, like little mandarin oranges and shit in it along with the
a can of mandarin oranges, a jar of maraschino cherries without the juice, with a little bit of the juice.
You throw the whole ass thing of pineapple in there with the juice. Yeah, huge fan of marshmallow salad. I know it's like objectively not like it's almost not food, right? Like it's almost like what a child throws together in the kitchen and calls it their dinner.
It really is.
But I don't care. I don't care. It is a dessert. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't consider it like yes, I need this as part of my main course, but It is very tasty.
I've literally never eaten it before. It just does not sound like it's something that I would
It also
enjoy.
isn't very visually appealing, to be fair. Like, it low key looks like our dog threw up or something. Like, to be fair.
Oh no.
Like, it does.
Low-key, high-key, low-key, high-key.
Low-key, high-key. But I like it very, very much. No, I don't really have a whole lot of specifically like Thanksgiving tradition. I do green bean. My grandmother does green bean casserole, but like it's only okay, to be perfectly honest. I like it, but it's like I would never make it myself outside of.
Here's the thing. A good green bean casserole would only be about an inch deep so that you have much more space for the fried onion on top.
Because that is
You
what
need
like yeah, you need that
the
like
crispy
I eat
crust
that
of the
shit
onion.
out of the can.
Yeah, well, sometimes you need a better excuse than just a can of it there to eat. Sometimes you need to be like, what if instead I put it on green beans and now it's healthy?
That's kind of how I feel about with pierogi filling. Is just eat the
It's just-
pierogi filling. Is it better in the dough? Yeah, but like
But also
Edge
Pierogi filling's so good.
Edge slapped some pierogi filling on top of raw pierogi dough and said raw pierogi and ate it in front of me.
that's cursed. And also very on brand.
It's very, very on brand.
No, I don't have a ton of like specifically Thanksgiving. This is the thing we do. We just do a normal turkey in the oven, throw with all the fixins up in there. Very, very standard, basic turkey dinners. No, I just really enjoy turkey dinners. I've never had a bad time because I know like for a lot of people, like I feel like for a lot of people, the main course is like the main highlight is the turkey. For me, it's like the leftovers, like the following week and a half, because the amount of stuff you can do with turkey is stupid. It's dumb.
It is.
It's
I just
very
eat
dumb.
it straight out the bucket though. Like we have like I just eat it like leftovers like that.
You gotta stop acting like we have a KFC bucket in our fridge. You're starting to make me feel self-conscious.
I'm sorry. What I mean is we have like those like
we have
restaurant grade like
they're Cambro containers if you're familiar.
Yeah,
I am.
and so they're shaped like a bucket. That's why I'm referring
they're
to
buckets.
them
It's okay.
as a bucket.
I'm with you. They're
They're 6-quart containers.
They're buckets.
6-quart Cambros. And they're fine and normal.
Talking
They're
about
fine and normal, and I will
Turkey.
not be judged. Okay.
talking about turkeys, I'd like to roast my dad for a sec here.
Is your dad a turkey?
No, he is a nerd though. When I was younger, we had my younger uncle over for Thanksgiving one year when we still lived in Texas, and my dad decided to deep fry a turkey on our back patio. And my dad's a very safe man. So it went really well at first, and we deep fried the turkey, and we're eating the turkey, and we're done, and it's all great. And then we see like a flickering light out back the house,
No.
and we open the door, and my father has forgotten to turn off the open flame that the fryer is on. So there's like the whole pot of like fucking oil has caught on fire and is now blazing a flame into the night. And my dad's panicking. Everyone's panicking. We're freaking out a little. Luckily, it's on like a brick patio, so there's no like issues or anything. But we called. It's the thing about this is like it seems way more dangerous than it is. You call the fire department. They come in their gear, and the guy literally walked up to it and put the lid on, and that was that was it.
I like
Such
how
a
you say
power
that
play,
as if
honestly.
like you could do it, because like you can't.
No, you
Unless you
can't,
had,
but
like,
it's like, it feels like
a
so
big, long
anticlimactic to just walk up and put the lid on this giant flaming pot, and then the problem fucking solved.
And you're like, well, sir, I'm sure you're going to be more careful next year.
I'm pretty sure he did say, it's Texas. I'm pretty sure he did say
I'm
exactly
sorry.
that. Are you kidding
Well,
me?
sir, I hope you're going to be more careful next year. Mhm.
Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, that's I think about that a lot. He has never stopped deep frying turkeys though. I feel like the only time he doesn't do it now is like if he feels like he doesn't have the time. But he was going to deep fry
It is a pretty big time
It
commitment.
is a huge time
You
commitment.
can't do other things.
There's a lot of prep for it. He also, I don't remember if I'm remembering this incorrectly, but one year he bought this like gadget that was like gonna like laser deep fry the turkey.
That sounds both fake and rad.
Right? Like I vividly remember him coming home with like this box that looked like the container they kept River in Firefly. And like you put the turkey in it and it fries it with lasers is how I remember this happening. But I was also pretty young, so I could be remembering this incorrectly.
I mean,
You
I'm gonna
contact
choose
him,
to
you're
believe
like,
that
hey,
you
what
weren't.
about the laser turkey frying box? He's like, what the fuck are you talking
No,
about?
yeah, I wish if he had responded to me about the turducken, I would continue to bother him, but I feel like I've overstayed my welcome.
Hey, Dad, you fucking nerd. You remember this?
You remember that dumb thing you did,
Silence.
idiot?
That's not. There's a lot of things that my dad has done that are kind of stupid. He stood up too fast at a wedding one time and knocked down a candle. And it rolled down the back of the man in front of him who was wearing like this really nice leather jacket, and it got candle wax on the guy's jacket. And then it rolled down the candle did rolled down the entire aisle. Still lit, still ablaze, and it's on video for that wedding. And I think about that one a lot as well.
That's so good, though. That's all you need in life. Like, that's beautiful.
If that were nothing that exciting happened at our wedding, kind of wish that it had. Noah, how would you feel if someone's hair had caught on fire at our wedding?
I would have, once we established they were safe, blah, 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 blah. I would have laughed a lot.
Yeah, that's
I probably wouldn't have laughed in front of them because I know the likelihood of it being
traumatic.
your mom and or sisters
Oh, that's true.
would be far higher than my side of the family. Not because I think that your family is clumsy.
They
Because
do
there
just
is
have a
more
higher
long
ratio
hair.
of long hair.
Yeah, there's
It
just
would
more
be
long
Jeff.
hair.
I bet it would be Jeff.
No, Jeff was standing up with us. It
That's
couldn't
true.
have been Jeff.
That's true.
Couldn't be him.
It would have been my sister or your sisters or my mom or your mom. I'm just saying the likelihood of it being your side of the family, I would have laughed so hard behind closed doors though.
Once it was
Like
safe.
we would have left the dinner and gone up to the hotel room and I would have been like, holy fuck, dude, just with their hair caught on fire. I mean, I'm glad they're okay, but holy shit, what a mess. Ha 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 ha.
Is that? Ha 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 ha.
I'm not gonna laugh right now. It didn't happen. Why would I laugh if it didn't happen?
You know, that's fair. It's
Yeah,
a very
Dan.
foolish question of me. You know, that's on me.
Dangus. Can't believe it.
Dangus.
Dangus.
Dangus?
Yeah.
Dangus. I'd go by Dangus. That's pretty great. I'm here for it.
Would you?
Why?
Clearly, no. Clearly, I would not. Clearly, I'm lying for the purposes of comedy.
I can't believe Dangus is in the chat. Real
Dangus has
Dangus
entered the
hours.
chat.
Real Dangus hours.
If you're a real Dangus head, stand up.
Oh my god.
I don't like that one.
Maybe you shouldn't have said it. Dangus.
You know
Dangus
what?
Khan.
Dangus
Dangus.
Khan. There it is.
Dangus
Ladies and
Dongus.
gentlemen, we got there.
It took us a sec.
That's actually a reference to next week's episode.
That's what Jackson got arrested for.
Oh my god. Sad.
Crazy if true.
I'm sad Jackson's not here, but you know what? I have to replace him.
You are like
it's
you
my
did get
role.
you did get that this is going to be the permanent setup, right? Like Noah told you.
Oh yeah, right. Just like how we just kicked Emma off our other podcast.
Exactly. I did
Yeah.
see that, by the way. I'm glad to know that
R.I.P. Emma.
all podcasts is
all
dysfunctional.
things come to an end.
Oh,
Actually, you didn't hear why that happened? It's actually a very,
it
very
is
funny story.
Very funny.
So we watched Willy's Wonderland for the most recent Casual Obsession episode.
Mhm.
Really, just it's such a bad movie. It's so much fun, Dan. It's so much fun. But Emma revealed to us at the end of recording that she had not watched the movie at all.
That's
She
such a
bullshitted
power
her way
play.
through the entire movie. The entire review, she just bullshitted her way through because her partner had watched it and said, yeah, I mean, I give it like a 3. And the entire time we were talking, she was desperately Googling articles about the movie so that she could be like, so I want to talk about this thing. So a lot of people are saying this. Did you guys, when you were watching, did you pick up on any of this at all? And we're all like,
we totally
good question,
fell for
Emma.
it.
Blah, 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 blah.
That's honestly a madly impressive power play. I am.
It was so funny.
I was like open mouth shocked for a full, like the entire end of the episode. I'm just like,
Which
what?
was a bigger reveal? That or Boo 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 Dab?
I think Bubba Wubba Dab.
I think
like it's
if
only
only for like
geeked
length.
out more about Bubba Wubba
Yeah.
Dab.
Felt more
Boo
betrayed
Boo Woo Boo
by
Dab?
Emma.
What the fuck, dude? Boo Boo Woo Boo.
Boo 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 Boo.
That one, Emma's left me feeling betrayed, and Jeff's was like, "Oh, you jerk."
Oh my god, it was so funny though because Emma, I went to visit her recently, and she's doing great. She's doing great, and hanging out with her was really fun. And I got to meet her now partner, who they were not dating at the time when I met. That was actually their first time meeting in person too, and I got to crash it.
Nice.
But like we're walking to dinner, and Emma's up like walking with her brother, and me and her partner are walking behind her, and her partner and I are talking, and they're like, "Yeah, Emma, the thing with Emma is that it's just really hard to tell like when she's fucking with me." And I'm like, right, because she's just so straight-faced about it. Like there are some things that she'll tell me that seem really unbelievable, but she says them and I'm like, she's bullshitted me about less.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always like, what are you talking about? I think I'm being so obvious. And then she pulls shit like this with the podcast where it's like, no, you know what you're doing. You can't lie to me. You know exactly what you're doing.
Now, Dan, let me see if you remember this happening. It was one of the off-the-air movie nights a while back, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we were watching the first Spider-Man, or we were watching Ghost Rider and talking about the first Spider-Man.
Both seem exactly the same amount of likely.
Right? And Emma was like, yeah, I have never seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, ever.
I don't remember this.
And oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I might be the only one that remembers this because Emma didn't remember it either.
It's so on brand for her.
To be fair,
though.
it feels like for you it would be a much bigger personal betrayal. Much like this.
Well, here's the thing. She was lying. She had seen them, and I sat there for 30 seconds to a minute trying to explain the plot of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and then at one point she's like, I mean, no, I gotta be honest, I don't really even know what Spider-Man is. And that should have clued me in. It very much should have clued me in, but it didn't, and I'm just sitting there like, I can't believe Emma just doesn't, how does Emma not know what's Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, or what Spider-Man? How? I'm amazed. And then eventually she's like, no, I've seen the Spider-Man movies. I grew up with those. I know what they are. And I'm like, fuck.
I see, you're lying to me.
I've been got in such a bad way.
I was watching a TikTok with Noah recently that was like red flags in men. And one of them, red flags in people, but most of these have happened to them from men, and they were sorry that there was that discrimination. But they were like, the first one was like, if they gaslight me as a joke. And the more that they went into their description of what they counted as that, my like stare at Noah intensified because of the shit that he does.
In
my
defense, it's very funny.
That is, I mean, to be fair, that is a good defense.
It's not. I have told him in the past that it makes me very angry because the joke to me is not funny. Because what's the joke? That I trusted him, my husband, who I love.
Yes, that is the joke.
And I think that's just extremely hurtful. And I was very glad to find a stranger on TikTok who made the exact same point as I did. And then that Noah gets a taste of his own medicine with Emma, who does the exact same thing.
Honestly,
to him.
Noah getting a taste of his own medicine is a gift. See, the key, if I may offer, some advice from years of friendship with Noah, the key is
you may not
gaslight him before he can gaslight you, and then get all your friends in on gaslighting him, and then make it a whole. He ends up making it a whole part of his personality. Case in point, beans.
Yes,
beans are not a part of my fucking personality.
And then he yells at you like this, and it's very funny.
They're not a part of my personality, Dan.
This is what I've learned from being around both you, Dan, and Noah's siblings, is that if you just lie about an aspect of Noah's personality,
he gets so mad.
I'm sorry that I get mad that you associate me with beans.
Jeff will do it too, because Jeff does it with the bad Italian accent.
Yeah, let's
like,
go.
Hey, I'm Noah, and I love beans.
Jeff has never said I love beans. But he does say things like, hey, I'm Noah, I make tomato sauce, and I don't know why people don't want to hear about it. Hey.
It is very funny. In our
People
defense,
so
Noah,
cool
it is very funny.
No, it's not. It's not funny at all, actually. It's very hurtful. But this is different. When I gaslight, it's funny.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
I politely disagree.
It can be funny.
As your wife, I disagree.
Well, I politely
what do you
say
know?
you can kiss my ass.
It does dawn on me I haven't talked about my book that I'm
That you are here for. Yeah. So
So let's hear about that
hold
book,
on.
dude.
As is tradition, right? Our rule is
Of
always,
course.
you come on the podcast, you got to be an expert in something.
right.
That's true.
Nina, you are now an expert novelist. I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
I guess so.
A
yeah.
novelissimo, as I've heard them called.
Is that what they're
I gotta say,
Sure.
I gotta say something that I told Noah, and I couldn't bring myself to tweet it at you directly because I thought it was just a little too mean for Twitter. But I'll say it to you to your face.
Hell.
I did not know originally that your book was originally a NaNoWriMo project. And all I could think was when I found out that was, damn, Nina, you really did NaNoWriMo wrong, huh?
Yeah, no,
And
I did.
I couldn't, that felt just a tiny bit mean, especially in your moment of triumph.
No,
But
it's okay because I was talking to N64 about it. And he was like, hey, I can't believe you did so well with NaNoWriMo that you are publishing your book only, like, you're done and publishing halfway through. And I was like, or you could look at it, I failed so bad I'm not finishing until 4 years later.
I think it's very cool. I think it's very fucking cool.
I think thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks. I started it because I was rewriting a project. It was my third attempt at rewriting this project. I don't think I'm ever going to finish this other one. And I quit that project on the 8th, according to my tracker for 2017. And then 12 days later, 12 days later, I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to finish this project. I should just write something for fun. And then a year later, I was done with the first rough draft.
That's
and
awesome,
that was
though.
like, it was very exciting. I'm very happy with it. I am getting notes back from people who are reading it now. And I'm like, something about people reading this book for the first time. They all have very different opinions about where they want things to go. And I know they're not going that direction. And some of them really repeat themselves from reader to reader. So this is a warning for people who are going to read this book. Without any spoilers, because all of this stuff
I also would like to still read it. I do have my pre-order copy supposedly coming in.
Yes, not supposedly. It will be coming in.
It's just supposedly will be here before Christmas.
Amazon prioritizes customers before authors, so I'm not getting my copies until early December, which is frustrating. But I did put a lot of disclaimers about that online.
Actually, I think in that case, I might get mine until after, because you have to get yours before the signed copies go, right?
Yeah, no, because what I've done is I've ordered a bunch of copies that are coming to me, and then I am signing them, and then I am sending them out. Mm-hmm. And my goal is to get them signed and sent out within 2 days of receiving them, so they should be sent out from me by my birthday, by the 10th of December. And which means that they should get to everyone else within a week of that, hopefully, if I'm lucky. But yeah, warnings about this book. As the person who wrote it, and as a person who keeps getting notes from people who read it. Number one, Wes is not a main character who shows up throughout the whole book. People get really attached to him, and then they get mad when he's not there the whole time. I'm sorry. Major oversight on my part. I made a hottie, and then he's not there the whole time. I will fix that in my next book.
Note to self, if adding hotties, they have to become main characters. That's the rules.
Exactly. Warning number 2, and I put this on Twitter as well. I know Marlo's an asshole. I also know I woobify him on my Twitter. I'm so sorry. I promise he gets better, kind of, maybe, not really. It's okay if you hate him. I would prefer if you hate him, he was written to be hated. But I just love him very much.
You can love him.
So those are my two. Yeah, like, especially he's my baby. I made him. I know his innermost thoughts, and I tried to make sure that those innermost thoughts were put across to the audience. But I wrote this on Twitter too. When my ex read the first third of this book, he stopped because he knew that I loved Marlowe. Like, Marlowe is my favorite character, and he hated him so much that he just didn't want to read the rest of the book knowing that Marlowe became a character that I really loved.
Oh my god.
I was like,
That's
I'm
rough.
like, okay.
That's
So I
extremely
did
rough
go back.
and very petty.
I was like a little hurt, but
You
I went
should be.
through and I tightened up the first part after that, and I removed some of the more egregious shit that he did. So if you read the first part and you're like, wow, this Marlowe guy fucking sucks, just know he was worse. And I
I don't know.
I think that makes it worse, actually.
That does actually a little bit. Just think, he could have been even worse. I'm the hero here. I've saved you from what he could have been.
honestly, I haven't read the first draft since 2018, and part of me is terrified. Firstly, it's hard to read because one of the characters, I've completely changed them from a man to a woman in the second draft. So going back to the first draft, it feels like a completely different character. And then secondly, my grammar fucking sucks. So I want to reread that first draft and reread how terrible of a person this character was, Marlowe was, but I also don't want to deal with my own writing. So yeah. Those are my only 2 warnings, though. The rest of the book is perfect. I do get a lot of people messaging me and being like, nothing bad better happen to this character, nothing bad better happen to this character, and it's like, I don't know what to tell you. You gotta keep reading.
I don't know what to tell.
I don't know what to tell you has big they die energy.
It does. It does. But you also,
I can neither confirm
I was gonna say, you
nor
definitely
deny
shouldn't say that.
any character deaths.
I'm pretty sure that
in
means
this
that no
book.
characters die ever, right?
Ever.
Right.
No
you
one
know,
dies.
I follow this
It's a
guy on
fantasy
Twitter
world
who
where
makes...
no one dies. Ooh, hold on. I'm
Right.
gonna go write that down.
Yeah, write that down.
Write that down.
Go for it. I follow this one guy on Twitter who
Beef.
he kind of goes on and on about how he's a big proponent of no sword fantasy, which is kind of fantasy that doesn't have, like, not necessarily no violence, but it's very much no battles.
Mm-hmm. No big sweeping.
Yeah.
Or even like person to person like duels.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And while I get the appeal of that, because a lot of like non-fantasy stories lack a lot of that as well. So it's like, why wouldn't there be like an inter-fantasy like genre that just lacks swords? He really talks down on like standard fantasy when he promotes this kind of concept, and it makes me a little sad as someone who does have swords in my novel.
Imagine having swords in a book. Imagine having an easier way to show conflict. Like, imagine being able to show conflict in a very real, direct way rather than like whatever. It's such a bad take.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of
bad take.
talking.
Well, no, it's not like one's better than the other. Like, they're just completely different.
Right.
Like, ooh,
right.
Man.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
like all my noir novels without any fucking combat. That's if my noir detective gets into a firefight, I'm out. Like, fuck off.
Right. I like the idea. Again, like, if you're gonna write fantasy romance, it doesn't necessarily have to. But I like in my fantasies, I like the sexual tension of having weapons pressed up against people. It's
nice.
Pretty spicy. I like it. That's another thing you can expect.
Some things don't
in
change.
This book. It is a young adult novel though, so there's nothing too spicy. It's just pretty normal. I also don't like sex scenes in movies or anything. So I typically
feel like there's no good way to write to like. The only good way to do a sex scene is to do all the like sexual tension build up and then just fucking put a curtain over it and be done with it. Like, you can't
fade to black.
Like, fade to black. Like, I cannot think of it. I've read more than my fair share of young adult novels over the years, right? I can't think of a single one that had a sex scene that was like, damn, I really enjoyed that specific part of the book and I want it more. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think another thing is like a lot of young adult stuff like that. It kind of feels like obligatory. That's the word I'm looking for.
That's fair.
Instead of like, because it's like romance doesn't have to build up to sex necessarily.
Exactly.
It can lead up to emotional climaxes where like one person makes a confession or saves the other person. Like, there's a lot of places where that kind of tension can build up to. And I honestly feel like in a narrative sense, sometimes sex is the most disappointing conclusion. But that's a really hot take.
Bad sex.
Ayo.
People who can't fuck is funny.
That's stop.
Oh,
Dan's being mean again. Dan's being mean.
What if
Cancel
I've done nothing
Dan,
wrong ever in my
2021.
life?
Dan is over party.
Not again. I just got back.
Nope, you're gone.
Canceled as all hell.
Noah's a coward. That's what I'm hearing.
I just said one thing. Nina made so much more fun of you. How is this my fault?
Yeah, but I like Nina.
This is
Aw.
a stupid thing, but I just had a waveform pop up that looks like the Skyrim logo.
I don't even begin to know how to handle that. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh, it does look like the Skyrim logo.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah.
I'm not going to show anyone. There's literally no way for me to show anyone, but it happened, and
It
you
does.
got to believe
I
me.
believe you because I can see it. Now I can't because we've recorded long enough that waveform popped off the screen.
That waveform is
But
gone now.
he's gone forever. But yeah. 4-year labor of love finally done. I feel a little empty. I can still draw the characters, but it's like now everything that I want to draw is kind of, I posted about this one on Twitter. I don't know what the spoiler embargo is on my own book.
That's a really good question. Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that because obviously currently I obviously can't because no one has their physical copies yet that pre-ordered, and anyone who has an ebook has not had a chance to read very far.
Correct. Yeah.
But I have like some really cool art pieces I want to do that are spoilers, and I am really annoyed about that. This is why I should have done an illustrated version, because then I could have just put the spoiler illustrations in where the spoilers happen, and everyone could have seen the art at the exact right time, but I was too lazy.
Is that laziness or is that just
too lazy?
Having not enough time? Like, I don't think anything about writing a novel can be lazy.
Well, it's the thing is, like, I have very little patience for long art projects. I did a 7-piece art project for Emma recently for one of our,
I think I saw that,
streamed campaigns. Yeah, that is the most consistent work that I have put into like one project, maybe ever. And it felt really nice to like have a system and stuff. But I don't think I could ever do that again unless someone were paying me. I don't have enough personal motivation to do that shit.
That is a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, there's something about writing that's like self-motivational.
Mhm.
Where it's like, I want to write the next scene, I want to do the next thing. But with illustration, it's like, I already know what it looks like in my head. The motivation to get it down on paper is fleeting.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway.
You
guys have me on to talk, and I still feel like I'm talking too much.
No, literally, I was actually just going to ask, like, is it like, I know it's like kind of a cliche of like, oh man, what did you learn? Like, what is there anything you like were like, oh man, this is the thing that I would never do again. This is the thing I wish I had done from the beginning kind of thing.
I would never, this is 100%, I would never change the gender of a character again. That was, in my final proofread of this, right, like 30 minutes before the deadline to get the file uploaded for pre-order release, I found another misgendering of this character.
Oof.
Like final hour shit. I was so upset. I think that it was the right decision for this character, because they are a very antagonistic character, and to make them a man felt very cliche, and it felt very uncomfortable, and it felt like Quincy had had enough men doing this to her.
Mhm.
And then the swap to a woman made her a way more interesting character, for one thing. Like, it doesn't feel like she's just getting the typical power trip that all of these other guys are getting. It feels like there's something else going on there. Also, she's a MILF, and
Nice.
I love her for that. But it was really hard to go through and change the genders, the gendered language, and I would never do that again, because it's not something you can just find and replace.
Mhm.
You have to go through the whole thing and find every gendered term, every pronoun, and flip it. I would never do that again.
That does seem like an actual nightmare worth of work.
It was, and I'm sure it was for my editor as well. Rip Linda, thank you for your help.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. But other than that, I think the biggest thing that I've learned that's really hard for me to remember now that I'm trying to write a spinoff is that the first draft, this is so cliche, but the first draft doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, it's hard for me to go back to the first draft of this one because it's so different and so much worse. But I find myself writing this new draft of this new story, and I'm judging all of my writing so hard because I expect it to be up to the standards of my published book, where I'm like, this doesn't flow right, the scene is taking too long. It's like, dude, do you remember how rough that first draft was? Like, chill out, just let the ideas flow now, and you can come back later.
I think that's the hardest part. I mean, even when I was back when I was actually involved with scripting, I feel like it's always like the hardest part. It's just letting it go and like just letting go and being like, no, it's fine. I'm not gonna deal with this right now.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
it's gonna be all right. Not everything has to be perfect right away.
It does help if everything is perfect right away.
It does. But you can't do that. I also learned that it's extremely important to have someone holding you accountable while you're doing a creative project, whether that be another creative or just someone in your life. I had a partner through this whole writing who, like, I read his project and he read mine. And he would tell me what he didn't like about certain plot points, or if he felt like something wasn't clear enough or didn't make sense. He shipped the worst pairing in the whole book. And I love him for it. To the point where he made me, like, I shipped it for a while. I was like, yeah, you're right. These two do have chemistry. Shut up, Nina. No. Disgusting. I fully expect other people to ship the same pairing because
people are garbage. Yeah.
They don't not have chemistry. It's just that they're way better as friends. But in the dedication, I did call him out for doing that. In my acknowledgements, it's only people that like actively helped me with the book itself. I think my mom took that personally. I was on the phone with her and she seemed a little hurt that she wasn't in there.
Dude, I'm not. I am reduced to roommate status.
You're a roommate.
She can get over it.
You got roommates. I did check with Noah before I did this, by the way. To everyone who reads the acknowledgements and they're like, wow, I can't believe she did that to him.
Put him as your and they were roommates.
I have my acknowledgements go Will at the top because he read the whole thing while I was writing it. Emma because she read the whole thing and she's been super hyping me up ever since. Linda, obviously. And then I lumped Noah and my two roommates that I lived with while I was writing all together. And I was like, you guys are literally saints for living through the process of me getting this done. And I love you guys.
That's honestly amazing.
So Noah's, I did ask him though. I was like, hey, I demoted you to roommate status. I can fix that if you want. I just thought it would be funny.
And it is very funny.
Meanwhile, I don't care.
Oh, he doesn't care.
Like, I objectively did not help in the writing of this book.
You helped me do stupid conversational shit where I talk through character stuff. I
haven't read the book, but here's how this person would act. You're like, not really, more like this. And I'm like, oh, you're saying I'm wrong?
I mean, honestly, there's a rule of the internet about that. The best way to like get a real answer is to give the wrong answer or whatever. And I feel like that does somewhat work in writing. Is like, the absolute best way to get me to like say no, the character wouldn't say that, they'd say this, is to be like, oh, I think they'd be like this.
And sometimes it's like on the money, you know? I think that the fact that I've memed these characters to death on my Twitter has helped a lot of people get a sense of who they are in a way that even like a full read through of the novel wouldn't, because memes are just that concentrated. Yeah. So like power. Noah read the first third and he has a pretty heavily decent idea of like the most main characters, I think. Yeah
I try.
Yeah, I think you succeed. Not that it's hard, they're all quite memeable characters. I think they all boil down to having one character trait.
I think that means that they're just identifiable.
I hope so. That's one thing that like I really wanted to be strong in this book, was the characters and the character motivations, because that's what I look for in books. But I know a lot of people don't. I joined this writing server and I quit it literally 5 days later because it was so toxic. But that like the amount of people who like would be like, does it make sense for my character to do this? And everyone would just shoot them down was nuts. And I'm like, you know what? I'm realizing that you can literally make anything make sense in character as long as you justify it enough, because people will do literally anything
Mhm.
if they think that their reason for doing it is right. So you just got
That's
to
fair.
make sure that you make that reason clear, and there is no such thing as out of character.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, as a published author.
Is it published author?
That's terrifying. I also have to, okay, so last novel thing.
Yeah.
I have to get my book on Goodreads, and it still hasn't happened because Goodreads is archaic. I have to get my book removed from another author's book list because there is another Carolina Cruz who writes books, but she writes exclusively like Hispanic romance novels.
Amazing.
So when you click on
Amazing.
the author page, it's my dark fantasy, and then it's like 10 like romance novels.
That's
and
so pure, though. I love it.
Because Goodreads is ancient, the only way to get it taken off, like establish a new like author page, is you have to go to this forum that the mods are in and make a post that's like, hey, this is incorrect, can you fix it? And you have to link the book that you want removed. And then you have to wait for them to see it. And I did this the day after my book was published. It's been over a week. Still don't have an author page on Goodreads. I don't want to claim all of her books because she hasn't claimed it yet. So I'm just sitting waiting for them to respond. I'm pissed.
That's really obnoxious. I've heard that's actually a pretty big problem, and that happened. Like I don't remember who I was talking to back in the day about that, but that's a pretty common problem. Is that like people's work will get attributed completely incorrectly because certain sites just don't double check.
It's really annoying, because I want to be able to get reviews for stuff in this, and I can't on Goodreads right now. I'm not too worried about this being like a big hit or being a New York Times bestseller or whatever, but I do want people who might be interested in it to be able to read it, and right now
It makes it very difficult.
Yeah. But, you know, ancient sites be like.
Yeah, a little
Honestly.
bit.
Noah's being a haha funny man right now.
No, I'm not.
No, are you being a haha funny man?
I'm definitely not.
Oh, Noah.
Oh,
You're
Noah.
such a funny boy. You're such a funny boy.
You know
He's
what?
such a
I'm
funny
done
little
being a funny
man.
boy. Now
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna be a businessman and say the episode's over.
I'm tired of being a funny boy. Now I will be a funny man.
Only because I definitely need to have enough time to edit this. And we're trending a little long. So Nina, you wrote a book.
I did do that.
Tell us where we can go to find you on Twitter to buy the book.
Right,
From
okay.
you on Twitter.
Yes, all right.
Directly
You
from
can
Twitter.
buy the book. I am on Twitter at Ninawolverina. The link to buy the book, unfortunately, for those of you who are Amazon haters, boo Jeff Bezos, I am very sorry. The book is currently only available on Amazon. You can buy it through the link that is in my bio or under my pinned tweet. It is available for $4 on ebook or for $12.50 paperback before shipping. If you pre-ordered, thank you so much. Oh my god, thank you so much. I will have those pre-orders sent out as soon as I can. Thank you so much for your patience. I love you. Mwah.
Damn, no, you're just gonna sit here and just be like, damn.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm
What do you want me to say?
I'm glad.
He's a supportive
for
husband.
what it's worth, and I know that like it doesn't mean jack nor shit, but I am so happy and so proud of you for actually getting this done because this is such a fucking massive achievement. I feel like.
Thanks. Literally it doesn't feel real, and it won't until I am holding this thing in my hands. I'm so annoyed that I have to wait. The temptation to just order a full price copy off Amazon so I can have the physical book in my hands is so high, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I didn't think I would ever get it done. Actually, I thought I was going to give up, and it was just the file was just going to sit in my computer until I died. And yep. But
yeah, unfinished projects.
I got it done. They do.
You did. You got it done, and not only that, you're starting on a second one, and that's even more cool.
I am. God knows if I'll finish it. I also have another project that's in a completely different universe. So I have one that's set in the same and one that's set in a different universe, and I'm equally stalled out on both. But I think that's fair because I have had this other project. Like finishing this was more important than starting something new. So who knows? I hope that the next one that I put out will go faster now that I know what I'm doing.
Do any of
fingers
us really
crossed.
know what we're doing?
No.
Okay, good. Well, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Bye,
Bye,
guys. See you
everyone.
next
Thanks
week.
for listening this
Wait,
week.
you guys don't do your little plugs?
Not
No.
anymore.
Am I
the
Noah
only
hasn't done them
plug-in?
in months. Anytime I try to bring them up, Noah's like, nah.
We haven't done
do
them.
that.
No, we haven't done them since the new year. Don't try and be like Noah hasn't done it. We haven't done it since January of 2021.
Oh my god, I'm so behind.
I finally found out how to update the show notes properly. I thought it was working this whole time. It wasn't, but now it does. Links in the show notes. You can follow us wherever. That's about all I got.
The Twitches and the Twitters and the Instagrams.